What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about how to protect your car. A lot of you have asked, and today I want to help you understand more on how to protect your car and your investment. Today I'm joined with the ever so great Joe from OCD Detailing. Joe,
hey,
thank you for joining me. If you guys haven't heard of OCD Detailing or Joe, I will put a link down below for them. I highly suggest you check them out. Joe comes with a lot of experience. Joe, how long have you been doing this for?
About 10 years. About 10 years, I started just basically washing cars. And it evolved into what it is today, which is new car protection. Our ideal is, not wait for the cars to get really, really bad and then try to fix them and get them back to okay, but not great. It's to get them on the right foot or get them on, right off the bat, get them started out with a ton of protection on them so they never get really bad.
Yeah. And so I wanted to bring in Joe because he's got a lot of experience here, and to really explain, I've seen a lot of discussions in the forum about what is PPF and what is ceramic coating, and so wanted to bring in Joe with all the experience to talk about, Joe, what is PPF?
So PPF is paint protection film.
Okay.
It's a clear plastic film. Some of you may have heard it referred to as like a clear bra, or maybe just a clear film. But it goes on the car. Basically, when you put it on the car, it prevents impacts. It's mainly designed to save your car from rock chips or freeway debris. A lot of people put them on like the front of the car, the most common places to get hit. Some people, if they're gonna keep your car for a really long time, because there's definitely other impacts that happen, like shopping carts, or the kids go by it with a bike, or who knows, the purse chains or get hit.
Exactly.
And it definitely will protect against those things, so some people put them on the whole car too. Usually, I wouldn't suggest doing the whole car unless you're keeping it for a really, really long time. But very common to do, at least the front, just the front bonnet of the car.
Yeah, so there's different options that you can get, right? You can get kind of either just the bumper or the front of the car, or like you said, some people go all out and just kind of get the entire car wrapped.
That's absolutely right. And the bumper obviously is the area that's going to take the most beating on a car. So if you're just worried about that direct impact stuff, like the bumper, the headlights, the mirrors, your direct forward facing stuff's pretty common.
Okay.
I know some people like to do this is where you get the line from the clear bra. We remember those back in the 80s, the bra they put on the car.
Yes.
The black plastic one. Well, people would take those now, like they were like the first renditions of this film. People would do the line across the middle of the hood, which I know that over time shows, so I'm not a big fan of doing those. I would rather do the whole front, but that's also another thing. If you just want, if you're just worried about protecting the front end of the car, that's some options people do. And
so when we're talking about paint protection film, there are a couple different brands, and so I've noticed some people kind of ask on, is there a preference of one over the other, or differences or benefits, or which one people should go with as they're looking at it?
Actually, so we have a couple of brands we work with. We really like Suntech Ultra. We really like Expo Ultimate. We've been playing with S-Tech Dyna Shield. That's been really awesome too. But what I'm noticing is nowadays, just like the technology's changed in your car, so has the technology with the film, and like any of the big name brand films seem to hold up really, really well. They do have their pluses and minuses, but what I really found is that we like to pick a couple of brands and just get really good at installing them so we can get the install really good, because they all perform about the same. They're all going to hold up really well. They all got 10-year warranties. I've seen no yellowing from any of them. The only time I ever see a rock go through them is a boulder hits the car, which happens on occasion. But generally speaking, they're all really, really good.
Yeah. And now talking about, so we talked about the film, we talked about, kind of the reasonings behind it. Let's talk about the install process on, as our viewers are kind of all over the place. What should they be looking for when looking at an installer and kind of how they install the film?
So first off, there's a couple ways paint protection film's installed. So some people do what is a plotted pattern. Expel has a very big, they call it the DAP program, Design Access Program, that has patterns that a lot of people use. Patterns are really good installs if you're just worried about protection. I personally don't use them. We like to do bulk installs because we can actually just lay a piece of film out, put it, and we trim, and we waste a lot of material like that, and it takes more time, but you get a better fit, and we're able to wrap and tuck every edges. We don't leave corners notched, where with a plotted pattern, you can go look at the corners and you'll see them, they're notched out, because if you take a flat piece of film and you wrap it like this, it likes to bunch up.
Yep.
So for for some inexperienced installer, it's a lot easier just to have a notch.
Yep.
Have a notch there, so you don't have to worry about wrapping that corner.
Right.
Or rather than wrapping the inside of an edge, just having a hard line there. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I just am very OCD. I don't want to see.
Right.
I don't want you to see my install.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want you to see my install from 2 inches away, let alone 2 feet.
Right.
But
so a lot of the plotting, basically, they have a template, they print it, apply it, but what ends up happening is you can kind of see where the film ends.
That's right.
And what you guys are saying here is that you guys are essentially pulling out, and I've been watching, pulling out an entire roll and cutting it such that there is a little bit of room to fold it in so that you're not able to see the edges.
That's right. That's right. A little funner than that, but yeah, that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we like to wrap and tuck everything in. Aesthetically it looks better in my opinion. Also, over time you don't have a dirt buildup. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with plotted installs because I used to do plotted installs. We got where you can modify those patterns or you can wrap some of it, but there are still quite a few limitations on what you do with them. But they will protect the car. Right.
But the one thing to kind of look for is edges being wrapped. So that way, if it kind of bothers you that you're going to see your edge, that's kind of where dirt kind of builds up. And so look for wrapping the edges.
That especially on like a lighter color car, like your car's white.
Right. Exactly.
As you know, and the other thing too is just check your installer, how long they've been doing it. Make sure. I hate to say it, but I see cars all the time with really bad cuts in the paint because
got it.
I always wonder how it happens because they're using a plotted pattern, which you're not supposed to have to cut on the paint with. But it's like sometimes film bunches up, and like people would just rather cut it out than fight with it to get it down.
Got it. So that's kind of using multiple pieces to cover something that probably could have and looks better to be done in one piece.
No, exactly. Well, that's part of it, and then the other part is that you don't want somebody razor blading your paint when they're cutting something out. So it's just when you're looking for an installer, just ask them if they're wrapping edges over, and ask them if by wrapping them they're modifying patterns or if they're doing it bulk. And if they're doing it bulk, you really want to make sure they know how to use a razor blade. It's just really important. It's inevitable that there's some things that I personally won't do at the shop bulk, just because if you're cutting through a groove like this that's 8 inches long, it's better to make a pattern.
Right.
Because no matter how good you are, you're taking a blade down like that. So, and I've seen a lot of cars get damaged that way. So just checking your installer to make sure they really know what they're doing is important because it can do some serious damage to the car while you think you're protecting it.
Right, exactly. And while we're on that topic, what about emblems?
So emblems, remove them.
Yeah.
Remove them, put them back on is the best way. I saw a post on the Tesla Motor Clubs about a local here who was doing a big group buy for wrapping Teslas, and then a bunch of people were posting where he cut out around the Tesla emblem on the hood.
Yeah.
And people were seeing that he literally razor bladed a Tesla emblem into the hood, and that requires repaint, which you take your car in to get it protected, and you end up with damage on it. Now it needs to be repainted. Who knows how that's going to go?
Yeah. So that's another really big thing to kind of look for as you're looking at getting paint protection film. Okay, cool, awesome. So that explains a lot on the paint protection film. Hopefully that answers a lot of your questions and helps you kind of understand paint protection film when you're looking at getting it done to your car. The other big question is ceramic coating. So can you explain kind of what is ceramic coating?
Sure. So paint protection film is for impact, just impact. Ceramic coatings are for environmental damage and contaminants and UV fade. The biggest claim to fame that I see with a ceramic coating, the biggest benefit of having them on my own car and seeing them over the years and doing thousands of installs and seeing cars treated every which way you can imagine, from the guy that washes his car every other day to the guy that washes it every other year. I've seen how these coatings perform. And the biggest thing they do is it's chemical resistance. So anytime there's bird droppings on your car, it's acidic, right? Or when there's pollen mixed with water, it forms a little caustic mix. Or soaps have different varying levels of alkalines. Working at a big car wash, I witnessed, they buy 55-gallon drums of soap, and you get the guys in the back, and this stuff says it mixes 5,000 to 1, and there's nobody that looks at it and goes, I put a drop in this bucket and think it's gonna work. So they're like, and being really OCD, I actually went back and measured some of this stuff, and I've seen like pH 9, pH 10 soaps, which are really hard on paint, but a ceramic coating will protect against that. And it'll protect against the acid, it'll protect against the alkaline, and it also, while it's doing that, it gives you these wonderful benefits of the car stays cleaner longer. It cleans up so much easier because the coating releases dirt, so it makes the car easier to wash. along with doing that, it eliminates the need for you to wax or seal the car, and it protects a lot better than any wax or sealant does, because you put up even some of the strongest sealants and waxes against that pH 9 soap, and it's coming right off.
Yeah. Yep.
Or acids from bird stuff on a hot day will go right into it and leave a permanent etching.
Sap, bird droppings, all that kind of stuff. I've seen fall on previous cars of mine, and and my wife actually has a really big sap mark that's just kind of embedded into the paint. Yeah. So the ceramic will help with that, but not necessarily the rock chips.
No, not impact resistance. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. I've seen a lot of companies that, like, they hit cars with lighters and they set them on fire, and I'm like, it's really gimmicky. It is. It's funny. I watched some of those lighter videos really closely, and they dent the car.
Yeah.
They're whack. Like,
Wonderful.
look, it didn't scratch, but I dented your car. But the ceramic coating, it does a really good job of keeping the paint really glossy, gloss retention, and still stains away. But as far as impact protection, it does nothing.
Okay. And then for install on ceramic, what are things that the viewers should be aware of or should be looking for and asking questions on their installer that they do?
1,000,000% it's the prep. Like I know there's some really good ceramic coatings out there that I won't touch because how their certification process goes down. Like if on the application it says, can you spell buffer? Yeah. Usually a sign. Whether the product's good or not, the prep work might be bad. So you see a lot of inconsistency with how the product's applied and how it performs, because first, like for us, we go through like a 3-stage decontamination of the paint just to get it clean enough to polish it. Yeah. And then we'll go through a multi-step paint correction. We're using our really bright flashlights just to make sure we get every swirl and scratch out of the car, because we want it to look as good as possible before we lock in those results with the ceramic. Right. And then we're going to pull the wheels off the car. We want to polish the wheel barrels. We want to clean the fender liners, and we coat everything, because some places will just coat your paint, but your headlights suffer some of the same damage. They can fade from UV. Everyone's seen foggy headlights, right? Yep. Or plastics on the car. Like a Model X is a perfect example. It's got all that black plastic that goes around the car. Look at one that's a month old and that stuff's already starting to fade. Yeah, that's right. So when we do it, we like to coat everything, and we like to prep everything to make sure everything works, because if we just slather coatings on everything, like they wouldn't bond properly. Right. Like they just don't do it. You gotta get the paint all prepped, and then you have to get the paint really, really clean and all the surfaces really clean before you put it on. And again, like with a lot of companies, just approving people who really have zero experience doing a lot of this stuff, you get a lot of varying results. So I would just really, again, check the qualifications of the person.
So the best way to look at ceramic coating is think of it as kind of like a nice, thick, bonded layer that goes over, that's not really a film, but a layer that kind of locks in your paint underneath. It creates that protection, and so you really want your paint underneath to be perfect before applying this, otherwise you're locking in swirls and kind of inconsistencies with the paint underneath.
That's absolutely right. If any of that stuff bothers you, you have to remove the ceramic coating to go back and fix it.
And what's involved in removing a ceramic coating?
It depends.
How long?
It depends on what it was, how it was put on and what was there, and then also like as soon as you go back to polish it, you damage the surface. You need to recoat whatever panel it is, and a lot of times if you go back and do that, your panels will look different. So
yeah. And what's involved in the question is, how long does the ceramic coating usually typically last for?
So all that's going to be very variable on your care. Okay. So if you wash your car regularly, I'm very confident the ones I install will last between 3 to 10 years. Yeah. And I know that's a very long time, but there's so many variables, it's really hard to say. It's like anything else. If you drive your car at 1 mile charge all the time, your battery is going to start to fail sooner than it should. Versus so your ceramic coating, you wash your car and again, there's a lot of variables here, but if you wash your car as needed, it should last pretty much indefinitely. Yeah. But if you go like years between car washes, which I've seen people do, I've had the cars come back in and ceramic coating was acting like it wasn't there, it wasn't getting water, dirt shedding. But I went through and removed it, and there's no chemical etchings on the paint, so it saved the paint from that. But now it's not performing like it should. Right, exactly. So I think the key thing with ceramic is that it does require maintenance, and for you to care for it, and not necessarily abuse it, and sending it through one of the gas station car washes. Brush car washes are horrible.
Yeah,
absolutely,
things like that. Awesome. And I think with so when you're looking at ceramic and paint protection film, is there an order of operation? Should one be done over the other? And
yeah, so the way we like to do it, if we're doing a ceramic and paint protection film, is that we like to correct the whole car first. A lot of people say we're crazy because sometimes the glues and PPFs do hide some swirls, but I see a noticeable gloss difference to my eyes if I fully correct the paint first before I put the film down. So we do, and also, no pun intended, a little OCD, so can't put it on top of swirls. This just doesn't work for me. Then you would put the film down and then ceramic coat the whole car and the film itself. Because the film is just like your paint, it benefits from being waxed or sealed. Like it's impact protection, but chemicals can damage your film just the same way. Right. One of the cool things about film, it does self-heal. So swirl marks, they'll wash and induce marring. Not really so much a problem, but it does help to have the self-cleaning ability of the coating on there too.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think, key things to kind of keep in mind. Hopefully that helps understand and relieve some tension and some stress about understanding how to care for your brand new car. And it's not required, we're not telling you, but for those of you that have questions as to what PPF is, what is ceramic coating, what do I need, one or the other, hopefully that helps clarify a lot of that, and it helps give you the tools you need when you're looking at getting that done wherever you're located. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I will try to answer them best as I can. And Joe, thank you so much for educating the people on this stuff, and appreciate all the hard work. And if you guys are in the area and you want to check out OCD Detailing, check out the videos. I'll leave their channel down below. They've got a lot of cool stuff that they've done, and hopefully it inspires you to do some stuff to your car as well.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone.